This episode of the Military Matters Review is brought to you by Stars and Stripes. Go to stripes.com, enter promo code podcast, get 50% off your digital subscription. 50% off your subscription. Stripes.com, enter promo code podcast. Folks, the opinions expressed on the Military Matters Review are solely those of myself, Rod Rodriguez, and Desmon Farris.
That's me.
They do not reflect or represent those of Stars and Stripes. So don't get us fired, okay?
I need this job.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Military Matters Review. I'm Rod Rodriguez.
And I'm Desmon Farris. Last week, we talked with psychologist Dr. Carlos Garcia and mental health counselor Dennis Higgins about the impact COVID-19 is having on service members, veterans, and their families' mental health during this isolation period.
For this episode of the Military Matters Review, we shift our focus over to an organization that is helping veterans find mental health assistance from the folks that might understand what they're going through best, other veterans.
We sat down to talk with Ellsworth Williams, a 24-year Army veteran, about what his organization, Veterans Counseling Veterans, is doing and why you need to keep this organization in mind as we all maneuver through the COVID-19 isolation period and after.
So Veterans Counseling Veterans is something that I founded in 2014 after I interned at the VA. And I realized that the VA, of all the mental health counselors, only one of them out of 20 had any kind of military experience. And what's even worse, I noticed that when the veterans talk like we talk, it turned them off because most of these guys have PhDs and they weren't used to our talk. So they started sending all the cases to me, and I was just a graduate intern. That's when I realized that why can't we take care of us? I always felt that if we're not going to do it, then how do we expect others to do it? So that's how Veterans Counsel Veterans actually was formed, from that mentality. We are a network of veterans or spouses of veterans who are in the mental health profession, and our number one service provider that we focus on is veteran suicide and the whole gambit, not just the prevention side and the training, but also the intervention and also the postvention. So that's what we primarily do right now, focus on veteran suicide.
Ellsworth puts a lot of how Veterans Counseling Veterans, or VCV, is organized and their mission into military terms you might be familiar with. He does this because he wants there to be no doubt that this organization is for those folks who understand the talk and the walk of the veteran.
I think that when I first created Veterans Counseling Veterans, I looked at it as being like a reversal AIT. Because when we get out of the military, there's no AIT waiting for us when we get out. Right. And we're kind of on our own. So I created Veteran. When I created it, I wanted to create a mechanism where we could mentor each other and collaborate and network. So the number one thing that I did when I created it is creating a network of veterans. And I actually have almost over 500 veterans in my Facebook group all over the country that are either veterans or spouses of veterans. So the number one thing we do is, and it's really right now, is word of mouth. It's not like I've got a complete mechanism where I've got a Psychology Today or something, website, and everybody has memberships and that kind of stuff. Because I wanted to, because that really wasn't my mentality. I didn't really approach it as a business. It's more of as a need thing. So most of you who find us or find me, really, they go through they'll go on Google and somehow, some way, when they type in veterans, whatever, my name pops up number one. So a lot of people who come to me is through Google or word of mouth. And then what I do is, because I have so many diverse network, I match you up. So if you're a Marine and has combat, then I match up with a Marine who has combat, like Dr. Garcia and somebody like him. If you're a dependent, I'll match up with that dependent counselor. Because then you already have that trust factor and understanding. I always say that Veterans Counsel Veterans, we don't just sympathize, we empathize. So that's what I try to do on a basic level, is connecting the veterans and the counseling together.
So let's go through this process. I'm an Army guy. I need counseling. Where do we start?
You come in, the first thing I ask you, I says, are you a post 9/11 veteran? And the reason why I ask you that, because there are foundations out there that specifically are geared toward the pay for counseling for a post 9/11 veteran. So if you're a post 9/11 veteran, then I will link you up with either, for us, it's Camaraderie Foundation or Courage and Beyond or whatever, and I would link you up with them. So that way then Camaraderie will provide the funding. And then at the same time, I will connect you with a counselor. And sometimes the counselor is already part of camaraderie or courage and beyond. It goes like that. And so it really, and then depending upon who you are, it's almost like a case manager. So if you're somebody who already has insurance, then I'll find a counselor in my network that accepts your insurance. If you have TRICARE, then I'll find somebody in my network that accepts TRICARE. It's like that. So I basically do the layman's work in the beginning to make sure you're matched up with your insurance and what you need. And then you belong to that. You belong to that counselor. I step away. Once you've accepted services from that counselor, I step away. And then it's just you and the counselor one-on-one.
VCV isn't just about pairing you up with the right veteran counselor or organization. They're also reaching out and trying to educate the veteran and service member community on the mental health issues that are important to them.
We also provide symposiums. We'll be like, we just did a symposium with Florida Mental Health Council Association in February, and we had a symposium on military sexual trauma. So we will bring in subject matter experts and then clients to help educate the counseling world that's not familiar with veterans. So yeah, we do a lot of other things besides that, but from military sexual trauma, we provide, like you said, military cultural training when asked, and then we do it for free. We'll also do training for suicide prevention. In fact, we had 3 of them last year. We did it for free. So yeah, we do a lot of other things. And I'm glad you brought it up that with that not in the front, but it's something that you have to specifically ask for, and we do that.
We've been talking about COVID-19 and isolation, but what we haven't talked about is what happens when this isolation period is over. What impact will being released from isolation have on the mental health of the veteran population?
As soon as this thing is over with, it's going to be like opening a dam when it comes to counseling. So what I'm going to do with one of my podcasts coming up real soon, I'm going to have a podcast just for families, military families and veterans, and address some of those things, because you got to first bring them up. It's like intel. You got to first discover them before you can start doing anything about it. So that's one of the things I'm doing now. I'm contacting all leaderships in my AO, and was saying, look, be prepared. And one of the things we're going to do at Veterans Council Veterans, we're going to start a campaign where we can start identifying counselors and stuff now that will provide counseling and stuff, free counseling when this thing finally lifts. So I'm doing that right now. I'm actually getting every time I talk, I'm bringing more and more people in to get ready for that. So you got to be prepared. We don't know what it's going to look like. And you and I spoke before that everybody keeps saying that suicide is a mental problem, but I guarantee you, people 2 months ago who never thought about suicide is thinking about it now, because they have no hope. When you turn on the news, all you see is doom and gloom. They can't afford. They don't have a job. They can't afford the mortgage. Their kids are running around. There's no space. There's no place. So if you got PTSD and that kind of stuff, where's your safe space? Especially if you only have one apartment or two. You don't have these big old mansions. You got a 1 apartment or 2 apartment complex, and you got kids running around that are trying to take care of themselves, and they're not being sensitive to your needs. So where do you go, right? So all these things is just what I call a Petri test for more suicide ideations, if not attempts. So I'm trying right now. I'm ringing the alarm to say, look, we need to be prepared. Now I'm focused on veterans, not the whole world. So, but yes, as you just said before, there's going to be a dam busting once this thing finally, people finally get out there, and we're trying to prepare on our end. And I'm hoping the podcast, when people watch the podcast who are in different areas, will do the same thing. Let's start building the capacity right now. Start building the capacity to deal with trauma and these things we talked about.
A post-COVID-19 isolation world is going to look and feel very different. It's very possible that we'll never go back to the way things were, but instead live in a new normal. For now, though, we wanted to know what was Ellsworth's biggest takeaway from this isolation experience.
One thing I've learned is I've been reintroducing my wife. Okay. And I know a lot of people are in the same situation, and this COVID-19 forced us now to actually be reintroduced back to our family. We can now see our kids. We now see our kids all the time, and they can see us all the time. We created situations where we're together as a family. There are certain cultures out there that they don't have everybody in the house at the same time or at the dinner table or whatever. But this COVID-19 has actually forced a lot of people out there, grinding, including, we got the downside. We got two sides to this for us, military-wise, right? The guys who deploy, they're going to be away from their families 2 or 3 months more. But the people who are here, they're seeing their families more now, and they do their remote work or whatever, so they get a really good chance of helping the spouse out when it takes care of the kids. I know, dads, I've seen you a couple of times. You take care of your kids. 3 months ago that didn't happen, but now we've got a chance to actually participate. So now with this COVID-19, we've been reintroduced, and we're a part of that family. I think what you'll see on the flip side is people are going to start missing that when this thing finally does end, they're going to say, Dad, here I am back on the driving 2 hours or an hour and a half, and I'm sitting over here and I'm coming home now, my kids are asleep. I think they'll start missing it more than before, missing the family environment.
As we enter the home stretch, we hope, of isolation, there are a lot of good things that we can take from our experiences, such as reconnecting with our spouses, reconnecting with our children, and perhaps having a renewed sense of appreciation for our friends and our community.
If you're interested in learning more about veterans counseling veterans,
we have a website. It's called Vets Counseling Vets, VETS Counseling VETS.org. We're on Facebook. In fact, as I told you before, we're having a podcast every week, and we're going to address things we're talking about right now. We're going to address them in these upcoming podcasts as far as what you just talked about, both you and Rod. And that's going to be we have a business Facebook page called Veterans Counseling Veterans on Facebook. And we're on Twitter, Vets Counseling on Twitter. So you can reach those 3 ways right there.
That does it for this Military Matters review.
Don't forget to subscribe to Military Matters and to share. We are relying on you and word of mouth to reach the folks that Military Matters will matter to. So share this podcast on your social media channel.
You can find us on Twitter at StripesMMPod.
And you can find me at GPodFarris.
As always, go to stripes.com and use promo code podcast to save 50% on your digital subscription. That's stripes.com. Use promo code podcast and save 50%. I'm Rod Rodriguez.
And I'm Desmon Farris.
We'll see you at the next episode.